Hey everyone. This is Mohit. Welcome to the Mohit Impact, right? Last time we were exploring the land of meaning as based on Jordan B. Peterson's book Maps of Meaning. Let me just get right into it, and I'm bringing it up. Yeah, there we go. So, what happened last time was that the video was not getting properly recorded. So I'm making another one. This is round two of me holding on to, hoping that this sticks. Right. Yeah. So let me quickly put myself to the side and we can begin exploring the land of meaning based on Jordan B. Peterson's Maps of Meaning. So this is made by an artist named Fernando Bresciano, and you can see you can go to his website as I have provided in the website below. Excuse me. And it's a very fascinating exploration of how an artist gets deep into the text, and we get to see his interpretation of this text. The whole book has been converted into a kind of map. Okay, the book is called Maps of Meaning, and the artist Bresciano has made it into such a interactive, and such an illustrative uh, version of the whole thing. And so, what is Maps of Meaning? Maps of Meaning is a book by Jordan B. Peterson, and if you are spending a lot of time on the internet, you would hear about him in whatever circles you are in. So here I'm mostly focusing on Jordan B. Peterson's academic work and not gonna get into his political standpoint or whatever. But without like anyway, like his work is also a little political. He's a psychologist and also in some ways a philosopher because he has studied philosophy too. Because psychology and philosophy are like the line is very blurry because just to give you an example, cognitive behavioral therapy uses a lot of stoic philosophy, and whereas acceptance commitment therapy ACT it's a derivative or borrowing heavily from Buddhist philosophy. So I would just my intention of showing this is to bring this work to light because the artist's interpretation is I believe phenomenal, and he has captured the nuance of the text. And as far as I remember reading it, because it's been a while since I've read it, but it almost captures all the basic or major ideas of the text. And in a lot of ways, right, a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is like a picture within a picture within a picture. Like it's so intricate and so many details, and I will get to them all right. So what how do you need to consider this is on this basic tenet of how Jordan B. Peterson's view of the world. Okay, like this is how he says it's like in every work of research or knowledge or philosophy, you go through these stages: the ontology of it, the epistemology of it, and the methodology of it. Ontology is like where do you start from, like the basic, how do you view that knowledge. Epistemology is the information or what is the knowledge that you have right now. And methodology is how what actions you can take, or how do you gather that knowledge, or how do you act, or what's the method. Basically it's pretty basic. And here, according to Jordan B. Peterson, the world as a forum for action, and it's composed of three essential elements: the unexplored territory, the explored territory, and the creative exploratory world. Okay, so it's basically simple. All right, you have chaos, you have order, and you have the individual. So his ideas are based on Jungian archetypes. And further, he was heavily inspired by Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And it's like what The Hero of a Thousand Faces was for people who are into writing, because people who write novels or people who are heavily into making fiction, they they use Hero with a Thousand Faces heavily as a template. Excuse me. Yeah, they use that as a template. And Jordan B. Peterson's work is more into the ideology aspect of things. All right. It's much better if I show you the illustration. It make more sense. So uh, how you would divide this is that this map is supposed to show the explored territory, and the unexplored territory is supposed to be this part. You see this is actually a dragon, coiling all the way. Do you see it, the details? And it's a snake eating its own tail. It's Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It's a sign for infinity, and could like also like in some ways I feel it's for entropy, right? The second law of thermodynamics is like entropy is always increasing. The particles come to a rest, and eventually leading to the heat death of the universe in physics, right? So as human beings, we are in a universe that is fundamentally chaotic, or something physicist David Bohm would say, of a whole and implicate order, if you are into the holographic universe viewpoint. Wait, we actually need to start from here, okay? This is where one begins, the aspirant steps. This is where the game starts. The first box of, if you will, the Monopoly, the box, the Monopoly board game. So this is the competence mountain, and this on top of it you see the virtue castle of virtue, or virtue castle. So this is where you start from. Like you are protected as a child, and you are like safe from the all the beasts and whatnot. Like within these walls, nothing can hurt you. This is what our society, or we live in a society. We are right now. But do you see that the competence, the top of the virtue castle is like all well constructed and solid, but on the left you see notice this dopamine falls. So this is like it flows down, whereas this is like a bit more ordered and structured. So it's a very I feel that this is a very nuanced look at both the right and the left political spectrum, and this is coming from a certain kind of a psychological profile of personality. So if you are into personality stuff, right, you would know about how human beings have been trying to like figure out how a person would behave based on certain kind of stories you tell about that person. And these stories they range from the zodiac signs, tarot cards, and now recently that Myers-Briggs test. If you're INFP or INFJ, I don't know any of the acronyms, but if it matters to you, I would come under the debater or the campaigner archetype of the Myers-Briggs test. So Jordan B. Peterson's work involves on a psychological profile a bit. It goes a bit beyond. All right, it's a one made by based on statistics of words which have a qualitative, as in it describes a certain kind of uh, being or acting. All right, how somebody would behave in a world, and that psychological personality profile is known as Ocean, or the Big Factor 5 personality analysis. Ocean is the acronym. O stands for openness to new experiences. C stands for conscientiousness. E stands for extroversion. A stands for agreeableness, and N stands for neuroticism. Yeah, this none of this is coming in the test, so don't worry. Like what you need to know is the first part of Ocean is openness to new experiences, and C is for conscientiousness, right? So according to Jordan B. Peterson, openness to new experiences is basically what creativity. I mean, it's not according to Jordan Peterson, but according to the Big Factor 5 personality test, openness to new experiences is synonymous with being a creative person. And being conscientiousness, somebody who scores high in conscientiousness factor is somebody who is like orderly, hard. I mean, you could say industrious or hardworking. Okay, like they do phenomenally well in academics. They are the toppers usually. And openness in new experience, the creative types are like more of those daydreamers. They keep exploring the in Tare Zameen Par, like he would be the guy like looking out the window. I mean, you get the picture, right? He's like yeah, the guy who exploratory guy. So the point is that statistically speaking, people who are high are more likely to be rated high in openness to new experiences. They tend to fall into the left side of the political spectrum, and people who tend to be rated high in the conscientious personality factor, they tend to lead to the right leaning of the political spectrum. And this is again just a probabilistic way. Okay, this is not law. All right, we are like looking at a picture, and which is like it's a bit vague. There's a lot of nuance in it. It's not a binary thing. Okay, like there's so much intricate things going on in behind it. And that's why I feel this picture of this map, it gives you a better view of how to navigate this thing. All I want to like focus on today, since it's a very dense and intricate map based on the text, I want to focus on like what an individual would do, like the first steps, and basically follow a hero's journey. So what I would do is check out some of the myths. So let's go with the Lion King. So yeah, this is why this thing is so cool, because you can map the story of several. See, if you are an aspiring writer or a screenwriter, or you want to make your own comic book or whatever, you can start use this as a template, and use this as a way to like navigate the world. And it's I think this would be an interesting way to explore. So uh, Simba starts with "I can't wait to be king." He's in the aspirant steps. Then in the movie, he goes to the elephant graveyard, right, to prove himself. This is where he climbs a competence mountain, but he sees that it's too difficult, and it's like near the dopamine. You see it, the dopamine falls area of the mountain. So he takes a tumble. So Simba is attacked by the hyenas and discovers that he can't take care of himself. This is where you get that realization that wow, like something is wrong here. Further, he gets into Scar gives a populist speech to give the support of the hungry hyenas. So this one is like when Scar, the king's brother, starts a dictatorship. Basically, says that hey, you hyenas are oppressed. We need to take back power from the lions, and this causes like the hyenas are resentful of the lions, and it's this is signified in a resentment whirlpool. To signify the Soviet Union, basically, like we'll explore that further. Scar uses Simba as bait and kills Mufasa with the help of hyenas. So this is like what's happening here is you see this cannon in this resentment whirlpool place. It's a direct attack towards the competence mountain. So when Simba is used as bait, it's a direct attack to competence basically. So Jordan Peterson alludes to this in the Soviet Union when the de-kulakization was happening, where the kulaks were supposedly the people who were taking advantage of all the farmers, but they were the ones who were producing the maximum number of food. So once these guys were like, there was a eradication of these, population group, and this led to the downfall of agricultural produce in the Soviet Union at the time. So Scar blames Simba for Mustafa's death. So in this point of the story, the hero gets into a deep pit. Okay, this is the darkest part of the because the father of Simba just died. So in some stories you see that the death of the father or the death of the mentor leads the hero into a new kind of because they fall into the desert and go into an abyss. Simba runs into the desert and almost lets himself die. You like, but Simba is rescued. So even in the worst deserts, right, there is always like a hope of oasis coming through. Like how even in the Soviet Union, like a writer like Alexander Solzhenitsyn came through and wrote the Gulag Archipelago, or there's always a hint of the revolution or the counter revolution or the rebellion for life. So it's like the Jurassic Park's life always finds a way. So regardless of how oppressive or like the how oppressive the regime is, there's always a way like the spark can come out. In fact, like there was an interesting statistic I read about civil disobedience that it only takes 3% of the population to have a successful civil disobedience movement. Simba grows up in the oasis, escaping from the memories of his past. This is to signify the escape of his. And Nala, Rafiki, and the ghost of Mufasa make Simba to remember who he is. So he lives his hedonistic life in the jungle. So at this point, right, he's out of the circle of culture. I mean, he's living in like life which is unexamined. He's having fun with his friends, and it's almost like. You're in a fantasy land, or like Peter Pan. You never want to grow up, but Nala comes and puts some sense into him, and what he sees is the king's tomb. The king has died in the middle of the story, right? So going what here it signifies is it's basically culture. So culture in the sense is whatever we have in the present right now, whatever is built, right, it's actually based on the things which are written in the past, and the people who wrote them are dead. So you are outnumbered by the work, like by the dead, and they have produced so many things. So it is like uh, what's the word for it? It is it goes to your it's in your discretion to go and bring back the whatever the past was into the present by being aware, or educating yourself. When you educate yourself, you get yourself grounded. So that's where tradition comes in, and that's where like being educated grounds you, and it makes you like unstoppable. Like those are Jordan Peterson's word when he says educate yourself, as in be grounded and you become unstoppable, like you put yourself on a rock. And as he goes, the Simba returns to his kingdom and finds it in ruins, right? Like when you are not taking care of that place, it ultimately entropy kicks in. The chaos starts seeping in inside order. So and here Jordan B. Peterson like brings the room, right? Your room. If you don't clean your room regularly, like slowly things start piling up, and by after a while, it's all in ruins. So that's signified by the ancestors' ruins. If like this happens, if you do not take responsibility. Now Simba sneaks into Pride Rock to assume his responsibility. He's climbing the competence mountain, and here in his castle of virtue, right, um, yeah, like it gets attacked by the tower of arrogance in the map. So that's where Scar blames his subjects for his failures, would rather have the kingdom destroyed than accepting his errors, and still thinks he's better than Mufasa. So this is sort of alluding to what happened in the Battle of Berlin in 1945. I mean, there's a lot of World War II references. Okay, like I'm not making like leaps of imagination or anything. Jordan B. Peterson also talks about it. He talks about how the National Socialists or Nazis, like Hitler was ready to sacrifice all the citizens of Germany to fight to the death, and people who were deserting even in the last moment, like the Russians were coming in. Yeah, like it's funny that I'm talking about it, because at the moment right now, like Russia is invading Ukraine. So we are in history, boys. Like history is not over yet. Maybe like we will see the end of history in 2045 in the singularity or whatever. Yeah. So Scar blames the hyenas, and and still thinks he's better than Mufasa. That's where the arrogance is coming in. And Simba faces Scar's accusation and reveals the truth about Mufasa's death. So that's where, like, this is like a concept you see in Heidegger. Okay, Martin Heidegger, he's considered the most revolutionary philosopher of the 20th century. Like it's kind of interesting, like why most of these are like 20th century people, because we are still mostly influenced by the 20th century. So Martin Heidegger has this thing about Eigenkleid, and Eigenkleid means being authentic. I think Eigen means true. You know how you have in okay, I'm digressing here. I was gonna say eigenvectors in linear algebra and whatnot, but it's like irrelevant. I'm sorry. What I mean here is being authentic, right? You have that power back. So that's one of Martin Heidegger's philosophy, is that when you're living an inauthentic life, you don't have like the power to be, and to deal with the world, the nothingness of the world, which is called Dacian in his language. I think I'm probably a little too dumb to like understand all of it right now. I still need to do some work on it, but I'll keep updating this stuff as we keep going. So the point is not that I've already reached the level of competency. The point is, like, as I'm reaching the level of competency, I also share my knowledge with all the rest of my friends and my peers. So that's how you you learn faster by teaching it to somebody else. So finally, there you go. Scar is defeated, and the rightful ruler creates a new harmonious kingdom. And that's what the pinnacle. It looks like heaven. So it's kind of interesting that when I lifted the thing, like you see the matrix behind it, like pretty cool. I'm a so total nerd, aren't I? So yeah, I hope we'll explore more myths using this interesting illustration. Like hats off to the artist for making this. It really takes a lot to make something like this available to people, and he like I highly recommend you go explore this website for yourself. It's amazing work. You can go and buy his posters if you want on this site. There are interesting color combinations. uh yeah, and yeah, see, look, check this out. You see it? Cool stuff, right? Right. So I hope this helps people with their life, and this is where I'm going to end my video. Thanks for watching, guys. Always a pleasure.